Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, deathslay, search peasants, vassals, minions. Now that wasn't so bad, was it? I'm Useful Idiot, welcome. And recently been doing a tour of other places in the world where slaughters are going on, besides the Ukraine and Gaza. And today we find ourselves in Libya, and there's quite a slaughter going on there. But of course we don't see that in the Western media or U.S. media because it's an inconvenient truth. It's embarrassing. Libya is ancient history. Obama wants to leave it behind. The American public wants to leave it behind. Everybody wants to leave it behind except for Lindsey Graham. But now a lot of people want to actually leave Libya behind physically. So we have everybody bailing on Libya. And I did a video not too long ago about Libya descending into chaos. But the nightmare that's unfolding there is becoming so surreal, I'm not even sure if we have a name for it. And so now let's look what's going on. We have Spain, the Philippines, Greece, Egypt, Britain, France, Italy, Russia, India, Canada, Netherlands, Brazil, and Turkey pulling out all their diplomats and all their nationals. And some foreign workers are so far staying behind, but most foreign workers are also leaving the country. And I think it's an understatement that one spokesman said, quote, "All the information we have is that the situation in Libya will get much worse very quickly," unquote. And so what we have unfolding there is something I've discussed over the last couple of years since the NATO U.S. intervention that completely destabilized Libya and turned it into a nightmare. And it used to be one of the highest standards of living per capita. In fact, it was the highest standard of living per capita in Africa. Previous to that, and had quite a benefit system for its citizens, and a lot of modernity missing from much of the continent. But anyway, let's get back to the story. So we have all the militias that were armed by all the Western powers. This story is going to sound kind of familiar. All these militias and jihadists that were armed by the Western powers to topple the Gaddafi government have now taken over the country, and they've all evolved into their own little enclaves, niches, towns, villages, and their own militias. In fact, there's 1,700 different armed groups, all divided along ethnic, political, religious, and regional. So it's about as complex and chaotic landscape as could be imagined. Every conceivable difference between anybody is enough to cause violence and aggression. And then, so we have all these groups vying for their own little niches. And then the biggest factors are two different groups, the so-called Libya National Army, headed by General Haftar, or his name is written in different articles, different spelling, so I'm using this one now. So General Haftar is leading this group of ex-Gaddafi loyalists, which is interesting since he came back out of exile to fight against Gaddafi during the NATO intervention. And ironically, before that, he helped Gaddafi come to power in 1969. But so we have all of this unfolding. Oh, and then the other group, so we have the Libyan National Army, General Haftar, and he wants to go against all the different jihadi groups, and the Muslim extremists. And then we have Ansar al-Sharia, which is a group that supposedly is responsible for the death of diplomat Stevens from the U.S. Benghazi incident. And they are the most powerful militant jihadist group in the country. So the government ostensibly only controls Tripoli. That's it. And they barely control Tripoli, because let's remember, it wasn't that long ago that militants stormed Parliament. And today, as a matter of fact, today they assassinated the head of the police in Tripoli. So the violence continues to unfold rapidly. And like I say, the U.S. has washed their hands of this situation. And so has the African Union and Arab League, by the way. So Libya is out on its own, descending into chaos. And in the middle of that, we have the gigantic arms bazaar. So all the weapons that were brought in by the U.S. and NATO forces are now a huge bazaar of marked guns, and they're going all over North Africa and over to the Middle East and these guns are showing up everywhere, and the country of Libya is awash in these guns, and will continue to feed this bloodbath as it continues to unfold. And the city of Tripoli is now being shelled as we speak. And I mentioned the police chief was assassinated, and there's multiple daily bombings everywhere, and then we have all these militants battling it out all over the country. And Tripoli is the site of this violence. Benghazi is the site of this violence. The port towns and oil industries have been commandeered, and just multiple infighting between all these different groups, and then awash in guns, and then with all these ethnic, political, religious, regional splits. It doesn't seem like there's any path available for Libya other than chaos. And then in the middle of that, we have U.S. Special Forces operating in that environment to try and alter events to a certain extent, guide events, and also to hunt down people involved in this Benghazi incident. And once again, I have to caveat in this video about this, the Benghazi incident. The more it gets revealed, the more there is it's a non-scandal. And my stance about Benghazi all along has been this is a worse than a war zone that we ended up placing diplomats in. Like most of our embassies, it's a nest of spies, and the embassy in Libya certainly functioned with the CIA as well. We're dancing with the devil, working with these kind of groups, and shit happens. And I'm certainly sorry that an American diplomat gets killed, but in the case of someone like him, there's multiple layers to his mission there, and he was there and has to accept the consequences. And in the United States, considering how multi-level and both incompetent and diabolical U.S. foreign policy is, there's no surprise that these sort of events happen. But when you look at the kind of chaos and nightmarish, surreal landscape that we have unfolding in Libya, this completely and utterly failed state that by all intents and purposes should just continue to descend into an endless bloodbath with nobody in charge. And this is the legacy of U.S. NATO intervention that NATO is so proud of. Like I say, NATO's victory in Libya, a model intervention. And that's how it will go down in history books, because the winners write the history books, and the losers here are everyone that's still trapped inside Libya. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.